My dad's about to show you a compilation of Christmas-related sketches, jokes, and one-liners, and you better be nice.
Warning, if you get sent a link to hear Ed Sheeran and Elton John's Christmas song, don't open it whatever you do. When you do, you end up hearing Ed Sheeran and Elton John's Christmas song. Hello?
Hey Dad, you're so fat you walked by the TV and I missed 3 Christmas specials.
You're so short, you brought your wife and son to the store to see Santa, and when he saw you, he told you to get back to work.
Whose line was better? Please tell us.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is a Christmas special that's been around since 1964. For some reason, it's so popular that it airs every year. It's the story of treating people like crap because they're different, unless of course they can do something for you. Rudolph is born with a bright red nose, so his father immediately becomes his very first bully. His mother doesn't attack his looks specifically, but she's an enabler. When Santa sees him, he goes from jolly old elf to miserable jerk. The other deer mock him viciously to the point where he runs away with an elf who doesn't want to make toys. They meet a man who treats silver and gold as if it's some kind of narcotic. I don't know what's worse, the fact that it's pushing greed in an already greedy season, or the fact that it teaches you that if your family won't accept you, maybe a crackhead will. Other characters include an abominable snowman and a bunch of toys who were rejected by Santa and left alone on an island to basically rust and decompose. Then there's bad weather on Christmas Eve, so Santa begs Rudolph to use his glowing nose to save the day. This is the point where Rudolph absolutely should have told Mr. Kringle where he could shove his sleigh. The best thing I can say is, it's quite a feat to turn a 1-minute Christmas carol into an hour-long special. Here's 5 facts you didn't know about Christmas because I made them up. There is a small island off the coast of France where the local population got the stories of Jesus and Santa mixed up, so they believe that Jesus comes down your chimney and gives you presents. Some people try to say that the elves are being forced to work for free as slaves. This could not be farther from the truth. Santa pays $20 an hour to start, always promotes from within the company, and provides amazing medical and dental coverage. Sick of being thought of as the Christmas bad guy, Krampus wrote an autobiography in which he claimed he never kidnapped a single child. He swears that all those rumors were started by political opponents when he ran for mayor of Palm Springs. For 11 months out of the year, Santa Claus does not actually live in the North Pole. He has a small condo in Miami, and he only heads up north to oversee productions in December. Then on the 26th, he returns to Florida. It's not about the weather, it's about tax breaks. While big cookie companies like Nabisco and Pepperidge Farm have convinced people that they're the way to go, and Santa does enjoy milk and cookies, he prefers hot wings and a cold beer. Would you like to hear a joke? This is the part where I pretend I can hear you and that your answer was yes. 3 men died on Christmas Eve and were met by St. Peter at the pearly gates. In honor of the holy season, St. Peter said, "You must each possess something that symbolizes Christmas to get into heaven." The first man fumbled through his pockets and pulled out a lighter. He flicked it on and said, "It represents a candle." St. Peter said, "You may pass through the pearly gates." The second man reached into his pocket and pulled out a set of keys. He shook them and said, "They're bells." St. Peter said, "You may pass through the pearly gates." The third man started searching desperately through his pockets, finally pulling out a pair of women's underwear. St. Peter looked at him with a raised eyebrow and said, "And what do those symbolize?" The man said, "They're carols."
Why didn't anyone tell me this before I became a father? Children think that there is nothing as mean as giving them something useful for Christmas.
And now, Christmas pot thoughts. The moral of the story of Rudolph is that nobody likes you unless you're useful. Despite being red and green, watermelons are never associated with Christmas. In movies where Santa is real, but the parents don't believe in him, where did they think all those presents were coming from? A Christmas tree by a roaring fire is a little less quaint when you realize you're forcing a tree that you have killed to watch as its friends and family are burned alive. At the end of Home Alone 2, Kevin sneaks out to talk to the homeless bird lady, and then he hears his dad yell about the $1,000 room service bill. He then runs further into Central Park, and we never see him again. My grandma's been staring through the window ever since it started to snow. If it gets any worse, I'm going to have to let her in. The Santa Claus stars Tim Allen as Scott Calvin, a divorced father of a little boy in a great movie for kids. That is, if you want to traumatize them. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Santa Claus dies on screen. Yeah, that's a great start to the Christmas season if you really want to get your kids excited. Then, because he was there when Santa died, Scott has to become Santa Claus. Because? They almost give no explanation as to why it works this way, but Scott immediately becomes bearded and obese. It somehow has to do with the suit having powers or something. He also gets brought to the North Pole at one point, and nobody is all that upset that the other Santa was dead, which, at least to me, brings up some serious questions about that guy. As traumatizing as this movie can be for kids, why not make that movie? The Santa from the beginning just treating the elves and reindeer like shit. Anyway, in this movie, his ex-wife and her new boyfriend don't believe in Santa Claus and try to tell his son not to believe in Santa Claus. I know a lot of divorced people talk bad about their exes, but this is taking it too far. My ex at least allowed my kids to believe I existed. The best thing I can say is, it's such a bad idea that it makes other crappy Christmas movies better by comparison.
Why didn't anyone tell me this before I became a father? Trying to decorate a tree with kids is kind of like trying to herd glitter-covered cats into a designated area.
Elf is a movie that is thought of as a classic by people who are entertained by a premise more than they are by actual jokes. Look, it's a full-grown person who thinks he's an elf because he was taken to the North Pole to be raised by elves. Get it? That's the one joke we have, but at least they got someone with no talent or ability to make me laugh like Will Ferrell to play the main character. The opening stop-motion animation was awful. The North Pole has been done better in movies with much smaller budgets. Bob Newhart was boring and his acting was stiff, so basically he just played himself. Here's a question for the fans of this movie. How could Buddy not know he was human before he turned 30? He knew he didn't fit in with the elves. Literally. I know it's a Christmas movie, so we need to suspend our disbelief, but they want me to believe that Buddy can't use an elevator, can't cross a crosswalk, can't ride in a taxi, can't sort mail, can't stay at home alone, can't cook a healthy meal, or conduct himself in a normal way at work. Yet somehow, I'm also supposed to believe he knew how to get Jovi pregnant? And how did he get off of those charges for assaulting the fake Santa so quickly? None of these questions actually matter, because I'm never going to watch this movie again. The best thing I can say is Will Ferrell said he doesn't want to do a sequel. I asked my girlfriend what she wanted for Christmas, and she told me nothing would make her happier than a diamond necklace. So I'm getting her nothing. And now, some more Christmas pot thoughts. No matter how many kids are waiting in line to see Santa at the store, you can't open a second line with another Santa. The build-up to Christmas seems way more like Christmas than the actual day itself. The Flintstones Christmas special took place thousands of years before the birth of Christ. What did they think they were celebrating? You never realize how few Christmas songs there are until you're working in retail in December and hear every song 10 times by different artists in an 8-hour shift. Santa's not really a good guy. From unfair labor practices with elves, animal abuse forcing the reindeer to fly him around the world, illegal surveillance of children, breaking and entering, and at least one known hit and run, R.I.P. Grandma. What he actually is a jolly old criminal. A Christmas Story is a movie that's not just one story, nor is it much about Christmas. The script is a mashup of a bunch of Gene Shepard stories from his childhood. There's the story of getting his mouth washed out with soap, the decoder ring, his father's leg lamp, dogs eating Thanksgiving dinner, beating up the neighborhood bully, the tongue frozen to the pole story, and so on. The only one that actually took place at Christmas was the Red Ryder BB gun story. Think about it. Why would he get an Easter Bunny costume on Christmas? If you like Christmas movies that have almost nothing to do with Christmas, then this is the one for you. And if you actually like your Christmas specials and stories to have something to do with the season, you could probably find the Charlie Brown Christmas special somewhere. I actually don't believe that this is a Christmas classic, even though a lot of people do. They only believe that because they remember it from their childhood. They only remember it from their childhood because TBS played it for 24 hours a day, Christmas Eve through Christmas every year. And watching something as a kid does not mean it's good. The best thing I can say is every attempt at a sequel has bombed. And now, 5 more facts about Christmas that you never knew because I made them up. Mariah Carey wanted to release another Christmas album, but her label shelved it as a present to the world, and the world thanks them. People learned from the Jim Carrey version of The Grinch that the Grinch is not a who. What they didn't tell us was that he's actually a grouch, as in lives in trash, green fur, constantly crabby. Grouch. Oscar the Grouch is his third cousin. After Rudolph proved that his nose was helpful, he became the biggest stud in the reindeer circles. All the ladies wanted red-nosed babies. Frosty the Snowman was not actually a jolly, happy soul. He was constantly cursing out people under his breath and never liked to go to any Christmas parties because he couldn't stand being around people. Santa has actually gotten down to a slim 180 pounds. Some of it was diet, some of it was exercise, but for the most part, it was Ozempic shots. The Polar Express. It's a movie that has a main character who doesn't believe in Santa Claus. Wow, we've never seen that in another Christmas movie in the past. So, the Polar Express, a magical train that takes you to the North Pole, comes to pick him up because, apparently, Santa Claus doesn't like it if there's one kid who doesn't believe in him, even though most people at some point stop believing in him. Can we just have one Christmas movie or special where everyone can accept Santa Claus is real? Because they always end the same way. I don't believe in Santa. Then I meet Santa. Now I believe. If you need to see magic to believe in magic, you're not really believing, you're just accepting reality. They refer to this child as Hero Boy. Why exactly is he a hero? Because he took a train ride? But the biggest offense in this film is the super creepy ass animation. Everybody is hard to look at with those soulless eyes. And why were there multiple scenes where you saw from someone's point of view and it suddenly turned into one of those virtual roller coasters? The best thing I can say about this movie is that it's a couple years before they're releasing the sequel, and even when that hits theaters, I don't have to go see it. I'd like to believe that in a parallel universe, Mariah Carey is doing her shopping and is sick of hearing me on every store speaker system.
Why didn't anyone tell me this before I became a father? Children think that there is nothing as mean as giving them something useful for Christmas. Dr.
Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, another classic special that airs on TV every year. It's the story of a guy who spends every day hating Christmas. So, of course, he lives within hearing range of an entire town that makes Christmas their whole identity. Even with that, he mostly wants to stay to himself. But, for some reason, some jerk keeps singing about how he's a piece of shit. That would antagonize most people. My advice to him would have been, just move and all will get better. But, alas, instead he decides to dress up as Santa Claus, sneak into everyone's house, and steal all their Christmas decorations and presents. A plan way more idiotic and convoluted than just moving. The next day, everyone notices all their stuff is gone, so they begin singing and enjoying the day anyway. Probably the least believable thing in the entire special. If there's children missing out on presents, there's gonna be whining. Hearing them sing, the Grinch realizes that what he actually hated was crass commercialization of Christmas, so he returns the things he stole, and that's when everyone decides he must be a good guy, and they all invite him to dinner. The best thing I can say is, it's shorter than the 2 Grinch movies. There are 3 stages of a man's life. He believes in Santa Claus, he doesn't believe in Santa Claus, and he is Santa Claus. This year, I plan on getting my kids a bunch of batteries with a sign that says, toys not included. Santa Claus has the right idea. Only visit people once a year. Christmas is the only time of year you can sit in front of a dead tree and eat candy out of a sock. You know those commercials where the present is a brand new car with a big red bow? Yeah, I got you socks. Dear Santa, I've been good all year. Most of the... Once in a while... Never mind, I'll buy my own stuff. Well, the big day's finally here, and I just wanted to let you know that if you have visitors coming today, red wine pairs well with crazy family.
And I'll be stoned for Christmas.
Oh, hi. I just wanted to wish everybody from our family to yours a marijuana and a hashy new year.